stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up, rise up, rise up. Who is able to make war with him?
Hey Phil, good to see you, bro.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Midnight Ride. And indeed, welcome to the last Midnight Ride. Tonight's ride will be one of mixed emotions, of joy, and of sorrow. But one thing there will not be tonight is any regret. So get ready, saddle up one more time, because we are now
Live.
Guys, what's up? And man, that might be the last time that we do. I mean, this is surreal, David, to sit in here, to walk in here knowing that this will be the last time we do this from this location ever. And I know that, like you said, there's going to be mixed
From this location, so there's more
emotions. I've got mixed emotions about this. This is really, really tough because this has by far been the best thing I feel like I've ever done, the best thing God's allowed me to do for the 10 years we've been doing it. We started doing it unofficially in 2015 and really made it the Midnight Ride in 2016. But man, 10 years of doing this, what an amazing thing that it's been able to be a part of, that I've been able to be a part of.
Yeah, and when you do something for 10 years and all of the preparation, the study, and planning that go into doing the Midnight Ride over this last decade, it becomes such a part of your life, it becomes ingrained. It's a part of your constant thought process working toward that goal. And then, it's really a restructuring in your mind and in your life. But I think we know that it's time for this to happen, and it's going to happen not to the detriment of you or I personally or to the kingdom of God. It's going to be really a good thing. And just like the Bible says, all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, and to those that are called according to his purpose. And we certainly see that to be the case right here.
Absolutely, because we're both going to continue doing stuff, and me and you will still do the Book of Enoch commentary. And in fact, you're coming on my new broadcast next week, so we have still our brotherly love, everything, but like all good things must come to an end. 10 years of doing this, and as David said, we're looking into all kinds of texts, everything like that, and it's been one of those things that God's really covered us on. It hasn't gone without its trials and tribulations, but ultimately God covered us to do this for a whole decade, digging through ancient grimoires and spell books and Freemason books and everything in order to bring what we did. And I just feel like we've accomplished it, man. We literally reached millions of people, and thousands of people came to Christ and were baptized. And ultimately, God really allowed it to happen. And I feel like we exposed like almost everything that could ever imagine to be exposed, I feel like, during that time. It was awesome.
And we actually created a new paradigm and ministry model where we took the Word of God, and sometimes I would say we are the sanctified ancient aliens. But believing the Word of God is the answer to all things, we would take the Word of God and tackle virtually any topic. I don't think there's hardly a topic that we haven't dealt with over the last 10 years. And this is something that is a very needful thing, because there is such a gap with the modern religious establishment not to deal with topics that people really want to know about. And because of this, there has been a secular uh, intelligentsia that is not good, that has come in to fill that vacuum, and it's caused many people to be misled. So I'm very thankful that we have been able to present this body of work, which will endure, which will be there for people to look at for hopefully many years to come.
Absolutely. I'm definitely relieving it up because it is something that we're both, I mean, I'm thrilled to be able to part of the experience. And that's why that I'm so thankful that we could really just have this legacy to leave for people to be able to see. There was no division, still no division. And it was just something that for a decade captivated so many people. I mean, I got so many messages of people that have listened to us since we started. Like we've been a part of their every Saturday life for the last 10 years. And
That's us, guys. We watch you once a week.
we'd still like to be a part of your guys' lives. And David has, ministry over at FOJC that if you haven't subscribed to that yet, you should go over there and do that on YouTube probably right now. And the link's in the description to do it. And also, I'm still doing stuff with Founders Quest, and I'm going to continue to do stuff on here as well. So we're not dividing, we're multiplying. I feel like we're multiplying and we're trying to reach out and branch out to further and further people. And, we have to do what God tells us to do. And God made it super clear to me that it's time for me to not do that anymore too. Because, I mean, like David said, it's become such a big part of our lives, studying like relentlessly, because we're putting together what I would consider a major body of work to be able to condense down into an hour. And we were alternating this every week. And when you're digging into those kind of materials that often, it really can play a toll on the mind. And for me, it was starting to do that. And this is this is really the reason behind my desire to do it. I just feel like God covered me for a certain period of time, and now He was telling me to do something else. I felt it for a while, and it's just now He made it clear, like, this is what I need you to do. So kind of like when the people were fishing on one side of the net, and Jesus said, "Okay, it's time to fish over here." So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still going to be doing. I mean, I can't get away from the genre that I'm in right now, except I'm just not going to be personally digging into those books. I did it for you guys for 10 years, and for me, this is going to be, it's hard for me to dig into those things after a certain amount of time. If God's not covering you doing that, it can really pay its toll on you. And so that's kind of where I was at in this whole thing. But I'm just so thankful to have been able to do it for this long. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, and the point we are in our life, I know we've announced on FOJC that we are very close to obtaining a building. I think it's going to happen where we're going to be moving to a place where we can have FOJC library and studios, and with a much upgraded studio, and taking care of all of that, and with Sister Donna and all of the things there. It is really time for me to focus on Sister Donna and FOJC. And our plans are to just keep doing what we're doing. There's no plan B. We've got 3 broadcasts a week that we're doing on FOJC. We do the Doctrine of Christ the Friday night, which is pretty much our flagship sermon, basically you could call it, broadcast. And on our Sunday Night Live, we do a lot of different things. A lot of them are like Midnight Ride type presentations. But it really is time for me to focus on FOJC and Sister Donna. And, it's just really is something that we just know now is the time to just let this be the last ride, and let this body of work stand, and let people look at it and examine it and say of it what they will in the coming years. But for me, I'm very thankful to leave this legacy behind. It is literally, I don't know, John, if you have the statistics, I'd like to know. I know how many millions of people have viewed, and I know over 1 million different people have viewed the ride, and I know many people have come to Christ because of the Midnight Ride. And but that's where we're at. And we know it's right. We know we're at peace with it. And we just are, we're just excited about the future. Indeed, like John says, it is not a division, it is multiplication. And that's just where it is.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know that we spent a lot of, David spent a lot of effort into the Midnight Ride for many, many years, and so did I. And it's been a very amazing thing that we're thankful to do for sure. And I don't want to discount that at all. So I'm going to go to the lifetime, David. How many views the Midnight Ride? So 59.9 million views and 25.8 million hours of watch time. So if that number tells you anything, that tells you all you need to know, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that is something, that's pretty good.
yeah.
Pretty good.
And that's just on YouTube. So
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, the body of work stands. I feel like there was like maybe 2 years ago, I was starting to think, are we going to run out of things to talk about? I feel like we've talked about almost everything. And so one thing I want to ask you, David, and I'll answer this question too, but what was, out of all the subjects that we've dealt with, what was the most perplexing? I would say the one that you still have this feeling in the back of your head that you're going to have to revisit it someday.
Well, I think pretty much all of these topics we've dealt with are still relevant. And I know the biblical cosmology, that's something that, I'm going to have to revisit. The issue of Freemasonry, secret societies, the UFO, the alien agenda, AI, all of these things we dealt with, they're not going away. And they're things that we're still going to be dealing with in the future in one form or another. And I think one thing that we were able to do, and something you were very good at, is to find the pulse of what people really want to know right now, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's King Charles or whatever it was. We were not afraid to go in and see what we would do with it and just kind of let the chips fall. But that's one of the reasons why I think the Midnight Ride was so successful. It was not only relevant, but it dealt with those issues that people want to know about. Alien abductions and to the detriment, I believe, of the established church that have not stood in that gap and gave those answers. And that's why I think there's still going to be a great need for that type of ministry paradigm, which I think we really pioneered that.
Yeah, I think so, man. We did it in a way that was unique, I feel like, too, and not trying to toot our horn at all, but, we did it for years with no guests, where we literally took the time to do mass amounts of research and every 2 weeks and split it up to where we were giving I would say a lecture every 2 weeks on these subjects, and where we went in deep to this. And one of the subjects for me that stands out the most, that I'm still like perplexed about, is the issue with the northern tribes of Israel and their connection to the Scythians and connections to the tribe of Dan and all of the connections to America. And those are some of the things that, when I look back at all the research, where I feel like I went so deep into studying these people like Attila the Hun and all of these tribes that seem to be just kind of come out of nowhere and take over. That's one of the ones that I'm like, man, like one day I might have to revisit some of that research, like in a big way. And I mean, obviously all this stuff we talk about, you're coming on my show, and we're probably going to talk about people in Inner Earth and in the people in the North Pole. So we're still going to be visiting. That's another thing too. That's another subject that just blows my mind. So,
Yeah, the whole genre with Antarctica and Tartaria is really heartbreaking when I see what a lot of people out there are doing with that. But there are just so many mysteries, and we believe, as one fellow rightly said, we've been told well-intentioned lies. And another thing that has made us distinct, that while probing these topics, we maintain a doctrinal position of faith in Christ, reaching out with the gospel, and also maintaining distinctives that have really set us apart from virtually anyone else, like, for the instance of honoring God's Sabbath and Ten Commandments. Commandments, eating clean. And, you know, these are things that just is not being done with the mainstream church. And this also, I think, has stamped an identity upon the Midnight Ride that gives us a real uniqueness.
Yeah, what were we called? We had a hashtag for a while. There was a pastor that made his whole.
The Ebionites,
No, it was something else like Torah.
Torah terrorists,
No, I don't even think it wasn't that. It was some Torah head.
Torah head, yeah, the Torah heads.
But so yeah, we definitely carved that out because I mean that was something that we stood on, even though it wasn't really popular. I feel like to stand on that for the longest time, and still not really that popular to stand on it. But the fact is that I think people respect that there are things in Scripture that they say what they say, and so I think that thankfully God's allowed us a place within this whole culture to be able to do that for such a long time. And I pray that like every episode we did continues to reach people for decades to come. Like I hope that even my kids and their kids' kids will be able to see like, oh, my great granddaddy was pretty crazy, wasn't he? Let's watch some of these episodes that he did. But I think that if we persist, if time persists, like these episodes will be timeless because there's things that we've talked about, even going back 5 years ago, that I'm looking at. I'm like, man, this is like everything that we said there literally came to pass, and all we were doing was looking at the literature and the symbols.
Yeah, we were, sometimes you just hated to be right, but it's hard not to say that a lot of the things we said on the ride were prophetic and were fulfilled sometimes within 48 hours. And when I think about that figure, 59.9 million, that's not too shabby. And that doesn't count the Now You See TV Rumble channel, the FOJC Rumble channel, and we have rerun many of the Midnight Rides on FOJC. A lot of the
Millions
classic
of views
rides
over
are up there.
Yeah.
And other people have taken them and uploaded them. I mean, literally, it has spread all over the world. You know, you people have uploaded Midnight Ride episodes all over the world. It would be even too many to even count of all the episodes that have been uploaded and spread, and thank God for it. You know, thank God for it. So it is, I'm very humbled and very thankful to have been a part of it, and it is something that you just feel good about leaving this legacy for the kingdom.
Amen to that, David. And I think that, my friend, is a good place to leave the final Midnight Ride. And man, I just feel it. I feel the heat of saying that word is just something that I just can't fathom because we've been doing it for so long. But I know that hopefully we'll do a reunion show live next time we do it. And I'm looking forward to that day when that day comes. But guys, for the last time, David, wrap this all up.
All right, everybody. We need 100% audience participation on it because this is the last high five and good night. But one more time, everybody, one more time with feeling, a big high five and good night, everybody, from the Midnight Ride. God bless y'all.
And I stood on the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up.
I thought that went longer, Phil. I haven't nothing lined up. I haven't loaded it. So hang on. Come on. Hang on. Hang on, Phil. All right. Videos. Got it.
When a backyard telescope outperforms Hubble, you pay attention. Paul Craggs just released an image of 3i Atlas that shows something professional astronomers either cannot see or will not talk about. This is not the blurred, dusty comet in the official photographs. This is a clean, structured object with defined
Yeah, Phil, it's beautiful weather out there. It's a nice day. How about you?
edges, a brilliant white core, and a blue glow that wraps around it like an energy field. Comets are chaos. They fragment.
The blue Katrina from the American Indians. Wow.
They shed gas. They blur into clouds of dust. This looks controlled, deliberate, almost artificial. NASA says comet. The image says otherwise. Tonight we dissect the data from both sides, examine the anomalies no one wants to address, and confront the possibility that 3i Atlas is not what we have been told. Stay until the end, because the implications of this photograph are about to get uncomfortably real. You'll want to stay close as 3i Atlas continues its journey through our solar system and the data keeps rolling in. Subscribe and follow along, because every new observation brings us closer to understanding what we're actually looking at here. Now, let's
Tennessee, they have hot summers, don't they, Phil? It doesn't snow in Tennessee, does it?
dim the lights
Oh,
and
man,
dive
come on.
into this cosmic mystery
Oh,
together. A backyard astronomer named Paul Craggs pointed his Dwarf 3 telescope at the sky on a clear November night in 2025 and captured an image that should not exist. He was tracking 3i Atlas, the interstellar comet that's been making headlines since its discovery earlier this year. He expected what everyone else had been seeing: a fuzzy blob, maybe some dust, the usual mess of ice and rock that comets throw off when they get close to the sun. What he got instead was something clean, sharp, structured. A brilliant white fuselage with a smooth, almost artificial blue glow wrapping around it like some kind of exhaust plume or energy field. This is not what comets are supposed to look like. Comets are chaos. They are dirty snowballs, crumbling ice mountains that shed dust and gas in wild, unpredictable patterns as they tumble through space. They break apart. They fragment. They look messy because they are messy. But this image shows none of that. No diffuse cloud, no scattered debris field. Just a defined, almost engineered shape with a color and clarity that makes you do a double take. When Craggs posted this image online, it detonated across amateur astronomy forums and niche science communities within hours. People were stunned. Some called it overprocessed. Others said it had to be an artifact, a glitch, something wrong with the sensors or the stacking software. But then more images started appearing from other amateur observers using similar setups, and they were seeing variations of the same thing: an object that looked far too organized, far too symmetrical, far too clean to be a natural comet. The excitement was immediate and electric. If this is real, if this is what 3i Atlas actually looks like, then we have been fundamentally wrong about what we are dealing with. Craggs is not some wild-eyed conspiracy theorist with a grudge
Phil, you at your sister's place.
against NASA. He is a skilled astrophotographer with years of experience capturing deep sky objects. His equipment, a Dwarf 3 telescope, is good but not extraordinary. It is the kind of gear that serious hobbyists use. It is not Hubble. It is not the James Webb Space Telescope. It is a small, consumer-grade telescope sitting in someone's backyard, and yet it managed to resolve details that billion-dollar instruments either missed or chose not to emphasize. That fact alone should make you pause. How is it possible that a modest telescope on Earth captured something so dramatically different from what the most advanced space observatories have shown us? The official images from Hubble and other professional instruments showed 3i Atlas as a blurred sphere surrounded by a coma, the expected cloud of gas and dust. They show a tail. They show what you would expect from a comet. But Craggs's image shows something else entirely. It shows structure where there should be chaos. It shows definition where there should be blur. It shows a glow that does not look like reflected sunlight bouncing off ice particles. It looks like something is being emitted, like something is on. This raises a question that feels almost dangerous to ask out loud. What if 3I Atlas is not a comet at all? What if what we are seeing is not a natural object, but something else? I want to be clear here. I am not jumping to conclusions. I am not saying this is an alien spacecraft, but I am saying that the difference between what professional observatories have shown us and what this backyard image reveals is so stark, so undeniable, that it demands an explanation. And right now, we do not have one. Comets have always occupied a strange place in human imagination. For thousands of years, they were seen as omens, harbingers of change, messengers from the gods. Then science came along and told us they were just ice and rock, leftover debris from the formation of the solar system. We demystified them. We turned them into predictable objects with well-understood physics. But every so often, a comet comes along that does not fit the script. And when that comet is not from our solar system, when it is a visitor from another star, the stakes become astronomically higher. Because if an interstellar object behaves in ways we cannot explain, it forces us to confront the possibility that our models are incomplete. Or worse, that something out there is intentionally defying those models. 3I Atlas is that object. It arrived from interstellar space, meaning it formed around another star, traveled for who knows how long through the void between stars, and then entered our solar system on a trajectory that will carry it past the sun and back out into the galaxy. It is a messenger from somewhere else. And now, thanks to Paul Craggs and his backyard telescope, we have an image that suggests this messenger might be more than just a chunk of ice. I want to take you on a journey over the next hour. We are going to compare this backyard image to the data from NASA's most powerful instruments. We are going to dig into the anomalies, the contradictions, the things that do not add up. We are going to ask the hardest questions, and we are going to explore the wildest possibilities, because sometimes the truth is wilder than anything we can imagine. This video will not give you easy answers. It will not wrap everything up in a neat bow. What it will do is show you why this matters. Why this one object passing through our solar system might be the most important thing happening in space right now. So let me ask you this. What if the official narrative is missing something? What if the biggest telescopes in the solar system are showing us only part of the picture, and it took a small telescope in someone's backyard to reveal the rest? Over the next several parts, we are going to find out. And I promise you, the data we are about to examine will make you question everything you thought you knew about comets, about interstellar visitors, and maybe even about what is possible in this universe. Let's start with what the best instruments in the solar system have actually seen. Do they confirm what Craggs captured, or do they contradict it? That is where we go next. The story of 3I Atlas begins on July 1st, 2025, when a ground-based survey telescope in Chile, part of the Atlas network, picked up a faint smudge of light moving against the background stars. At first, it looked like just another comet, maybe a long-period visitor from the outer reaches of our solar system. But when astronomers calculated its orbit, they realized something extraordinary. This object was not bound to the sun. Its trajectory was hyperbolic, meaning it was moving too fast to be captured by our star's gravity. It was passing through, a visitor from interstellar space, only the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected after 1 I/Oumuamua and 2 I/Borisov. That discovery alone was enough to mobilize telescopes around the world. The official designation, 3I Atlas, tells you exactly what it is in the language of astronomy. The 3I means third interstellar object. Atlas is the survey that found it. From that moment on, Every major observatory with a clear view of the sky started tracking it. Hubble turned its mirrors toward it. The James Webb Space Telescope locked onto it. Ground-based facilities across multiple continents coordinated observation campaigns. Even spacecraft in the inner solar system, Mars orbiters, heliophysics probes like Stereo-A and SOHO, began collecting data. This was not just another comet. This was a solar system-wide observation event, the kind of coordinated scientific effort that only happens when something truly rare enters our neighborhood. The timeline mattered. 3I Atlas reached its closest approach to the sun, called perihelion, on October 30th, 2025, at a distance of roughly 1.4 astronomical units, just inside the orbit of Mars. For context, Earth sits at 1 astronomical unit from the sun, so this object came reasonably close by cosmic standards, but not dangerously so. After perihelion, it began its outbound journey, and according to current projections, it will make its closest approach to Earth around December 19th, 2025, at about 1.8 astronomical units, roughly 270 million kilometers away. That is still happening as we speak. The observation window is open, but it is closing fast. So what did all these telescopes actually see? The official data paints a picture of something that looks, at least on the surface, like a comet. Observations from Hubble and other facilities show a bright nucleus surrounded by a coma, the characteristic cloud of gas and dust that forms when ice sublimates in the heat of the sun. They see a tail, or at least the beginnings of one, made of gas and fine dust particles being pushed away by solar radiation
Yeah, they got to create them somehow, Phil. I know this isn't photos.
and the solar wind. The spectral signatures match what you would expect from a comet. Water vapor, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, dust grains. All the usual suspects are there. By every conventional measure, 3I Atlas behaves like a comet. But even within that framework, there are oddities. The size of the nucleus, for example, remains frustratingly uncertain. Estimates place it somewhere between 440 meters and 5.6 kilometers in diameter. That is a huge range. In Earth terms,
It's too detailed. I got a better one.
As James Webb Space Telescope has captured unprecedented pictures.
Manhattan-sized object known as 3I Atlas could actually be a mysterious alien spaceship. The first signs emerged as a faint asymmetric glow, traceable only in the deepest exposures from the James Webb Space Telescope, a filament of spectral irregularities that did not belong to any known category of outgassing, mineral reflection, or thermal emission. At first, astronomers thought they were observing yet another curious artifact from the interstellar visitor 3I Atlas, a body already captivating because it was only the third known object to drift into the solar system from the vast interstellar void. But the glow persisted, strengthened, and multiplied across the wavelengths Webb was trained to capture. It behaved with a stubborn consistency, inconsistent with debris and dust, and far too structured to be dismissed as noise. Even before the most detailed data sets were assembled, a growing number of researchers realized something extraordinary was unfolding. Webb had captured signatures no one expected to find on or around a small, icy interstellar traveler, organic complexity beyond abiotic origins, patterning in molecular absorption bands that hinted at metabolic cycles, and a spectral fingerprint that matched nothing in the solar system but matched the general expectations of biological chemistry. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Word spread with a speed that rivaled the motion of 3I Atlas itself as it coasted inward on its long, shallow trajectory. For decades, scientists had dreamed of the moment when the first incontrovertible sign of life beyond Earth would be observed. Most imagined an exoplanet, perhaps a transiting world with atmospheric biosignatures detected across light years. Few expected the earliest hints of alien biology to come riding on a relatively small interstellar body now threading its way through the sun's outer domain. The surprise was magnified by the nature of the object. Unlike comets that originate within the solar system, 3I Atlas carried the chemical memory of a star system far from our own, shaped by processes foreign to local space and steeped in the ancient chemical history of the Milky Way. Its detection had already been a remarkable astronomical event, but the growing evidence that it bore a microscopic ecosystem transformed it from curiosity to cosmic messenger. The signals Webb captured were subtle but unmistakably organized. At mid-infrared wavelengths, spectral absorption features indicated complex carbon chains of lengths rarely associated with non-biological chemistry. Embedded among them were hints of amino acids and polymer-like structures that absorbed and emitted energy with a periodicity that resembled energy transfer pathways found in living systems. The patterns did not repeat randomly. They formed nested arrangements consistent with regulation, something akin to microscopic colonies interacting with microenvironments on and within the object's porous matrix. What captivated researchers most was not merely the complexity of these organic molecules, but the dynamism implied by their distribution. Webb observed shifts in concentration across multiple epochs, suggesting processes that responded to local conditions even as the object approached the inner solar system. That dynamism became the linchpin for the emerging hypothesis. 3I Atlas was not only carrying organic matter, it was carrying living organisms. Not multicellular, not large enough to be seen even if one were standing on the object's dusty surface, but life nonetheless, microbial, hardy, and astonishingly adapted to the extremes of interstellar transit. The implications extended well beyond astrobiology. If life could survive on such an object without atmospheric protection, without a stable thermal environment, without the shielding of a planet, then the cosmos might teem with small vessels ferrying microbial travelers across unimaginable distances. Life would not be constrained to birthplace worlds. It might drift, disperse, and seed the cold emptiness between stars. As 3I Atlas continued its approach, the pace of data collection increased. Webb refined its observational cadence, targeting the object during every available viewing window. Instruments that normally focused on distant galaxies were redirected, gathering photons from an object relatively nearby at cosmic standards. What began as a small group of researchers analyzing unusual spectral anomalies rapidly expanded into an international collaboration drawing on experts in microbiology, planetary chemistry, astrophysics, and evolutionary science. The challenge was to distinguish life from what might, under other circumstances, be exotic but non-living chemistry. Most of the scientific community remained cautious, but the patterns accumulating month after month eroded doubt. The chemical ratios were too imbalanced for abiotic synthesis. The fluctuating concentrations suggested feedback mechanisms. Some of the spectral lines even hinted at radiation-absorbing compounds resembling pigments, possibly adaptations to the harsh cosmic environment. As the data grew clearer, speculation transitioned into measured confidence. The most striking revelation emerged when Webb captured a spike of infrared fluorescence during a period when 3I Atlas was exposed to increased solar radiation. The intensity rose and fell in a manner reminiscent of photoreactive biological systems. The organisms inferred from this behavior seemed capable of utilizing or at least responding to incoming energy, perhaps entering a form of metabolic stimulation. This alone was enough to restructure many assumptions about life's possible architectures. The organisms on 3I Atlas, if confirmed, were not merely passive hitchhikers trapped in ancient ice. They were active participants in their survival, tapping into every available source of energy, even when drifting for millions of years in interstellar night. With every new observation, a fundamental question grew louder. Where had this life originated? The object's path traced backward into a region of the galaxy known for star formation dense nebulae, and turbulent stellar nurseries. Somewhere in that expanse, a planetary system had birthed these microorganisms. The chemical signatures detected by Webb suggested a biochemistry grounded in carbon, but not carbon alone. Trace metals were interwoven with organic compounds in ways Earth-based organisms did not replicate. Some researchers speculated the life on 3I Atlas might be older than our solar system, originating in a lineage that diverged from Earth-based life's chemical ancestry billions of years earlier. Others proposed the opposite, that this was a relatively young form of life, evolving under conditions so different from Earth that its pathways represented a parallel experiment run by nature across galactic scales. The implications for panspermia were profound. For centuries, the idea that life could spread between stars had been treated as an intriguing hypothesis, often overshadowed by more planet-centric models of biological emergence. But 3I Atlas, if verified as a carrier of living organisms, would be the first direct demonstration that biology could survive interstellar travel. It would mean that life is not just possible beyond Earth, but mobile. It could move not through deliberate intention, but through natural mechanisms, riding on icy bodies flung from their home systems by gravitational upheavals, drifting through interstellar space for epochs, and occasionally crossing paths with new planetary systems. This view redefined humanity's place in the universe. If life could travel so freely, then the boundaries between biospheres blurred. Earth would no longer be an isolated cradle, but part of a larger biological continuum. Our planet might not be the origin of all its genetic heritage. It might be a node in an ancient network of biological exchange. Conversely, if the microbial passengers of 3I Atlas were entirely unrelated to Earth life, then the discovery would still reshape our understanding. It would show that life arises multiple times throughout the galaxy, following diverse evolutionary strategies, forming novel molecular architectures tailored to alien conditions. Either possibility expanded the cosmic tapestry of biology beyond anything previously imagined. The discovery also brought attention to the resilience of life. Interstellar space is hostile beyond measure, cold, irradiated, and devoid of stable environments. For any organism to survive such a journey, let alone remain capable of metabolic activity, it must possess extraordinary protective mechanisms. Webb's data indicated the presence of radiation-absorbing molecules clustered in ways that suggested shielding strategies. Some spectral features resembled polymers capable of repairing molecular damage, perhaps functioning like biological armor. Researchers drew parallels to extremophiles on Earth, particularly those that withstand high radiation or desiccation. But the resilience implied by 3I Atlas far exceeded anything seen in terrestrial biology. It hinted at evolutionary pressures sculpting organisms not simply to survive transient harsh conditions, but to thrive in deep cosmic isolation. The attention now centered on what would happen as the object moved closer to the sun. Although researchers avoided discussing any future consequences or how humanity might respond after the detection, they understood that the body's changing environment offered a rare opportunity. Rising temperatures would shift the molecular behavior of whatever organisms lay within the ice and dust. Increased solar radiation could stimulate new chemical cycles observable through Webb's instruments. Sublimating volatiles might release trapped microorganisms into a detectable coma around the object, further enhancing the spectral data. For the moment, though, the scientific focus remained strictly on the event itself, Webb's detection, the evidence of life, and the extraordinary implications for biology and astrophysics. The early interpretations acknowledged just how complicated these implications were. If life existed aboard 3I Atlas, it challenged long-standing assumptions about the origins of life on Earth.
Lunchtime cravings kicking in? Relief and with Nicorette, the #1 stop smoking brand in Australia.
What do you think, Jim?
Hi, Di. Good to see you.
We need a decision.
What's the question again?
Can I make a suggestion? We've got the answer from our customers right here. SurveyMonkey. Get started free today. Every day, CommBank helps almost 400 households buy a home.
And there we go, Phil. We get the great links back with the great lady Diane. She posts great links. Yeah. I've been watching that Campbell soup thing, Di. It's pretty bad, isn't it? What they say, chicken grown, meat grown through a 3D printer. They said something like that. Artificial meat.
While the scientific community did not leap to conclusions about Earth's own beginnings, many recognized that the presence of life on an interstellar object strengthened arguments that organic building blocks, or even fully formed organisms, may have played roles in seeding early Earth. The idea that life might have arrived
Well, that's evolution, so we know that's crap.
from beyond the solar system, carried on icy messengers similar to 3I Atlas, suddenly felt less speculative. Yet the focus remained firmly on the present discovery rather than its future consequences. Another aspect of the discovery underscored the interconnectedness of the galaxy. If 3I Atlas carried life, it was a reminder that the galaxy is not a static assembly of isolated stars and planets. It is dynamic, turbulent, and full of exchanges. When star systems form, planets migrate, and gravitational resonances shift, objects are often ejected into interstellar space. Some of those objects may carry material from their original worlds, embedding them in the long arc of cosmic transport. Over millions or billions of years, these interstellar travelers become ambassadors of their system's chemical and biological identity. Webb's discovery implied that the Milky Way is filled with such ambassadors, each carrying fragments of its native environment. The complexity detected on 3I Atlas also suggested that life does not require a planet to originate. While moons and planets remain the likeliest birthplaces due to their stable conditions and abundance of energy sources, it was now conceivable that smaller bodies could sustain life long after leaving their home systems. Cavities within interstellar objects could serve as microhabitats, preserving warmth, shielding from radiation, and harboring chemical gradients. If organisms were capable of entering long periods of dormancy and awakening periodically when conditions shifted, then even the cold isolation of deep space might not fully extinguish life's spark. Much discussion centered around the nature of the chemical systems Webb detected. The organisms, if they could be described as such, seemed to utilize a biochemical toolkit that blended familiar elements with unfamiliar ones. The heavy metal incorporation hinted at biochemical pathways relying on catalytic surfaces different from those found in Earth life. Some researchers compared it to metallic microstructures or nanoscale frameworks. Instead of relying on fragile organic enzymes alone, these organisms might have evolved hybrid biochemical machinery integrating mineral-like components. This would make them far more resistant to environmental extremes and capable of withstanding the molecular chaos induced by cosmic radiation. As the data accumulated, the picture of 3I Atlas grew richer. It was not a uniform object. Its structure included regions of dense ice, porous lattices, rocky inclusions, and organic-rich pockets in which spectral signals indicated the densest biological activity. These pockets behaved as though they were ecosystems in miniature, each with slightly different chemical balances. Webb's instruments tracked fluctuations across these pockets, revealing cycles that rose and fell in response to the object's rotation, solar exposure, and internal heat distribution. Such cycles reinforced the idea that this was not a static chemical relic of ancient processes, but a living system adapting continuously. One of the most compelling aspects of the detection was how it reshaped the understanding of interstellar medium chemistry. For years, astronomers had studied complex organic molecules between stars and marveled at their abundance. Yet the leap from molecular complexity to genuine biology had seemed vast. Now, with 3i Atlas providing a bridge between interstellar chemistry and living systems, the gap appeared far narrower. The galaxy's molecular clouds, already known to contain water, carbon monoxide, methane, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, might serve as reservoirs feeding countless worlds and objects with the ingredients for life. The discovery suggested these regions might even shelter life-bearing debris flung from planetary systems, allowing biology to drift through star-forming regions like seeds caught in cosmic winds. The notion that life might be a galactic phenomenon, not an isolated planetary feature, became increasingly plausible. Webb's detection initiated a rethinking of biological rarity. If life could survive on an object as small as 3i Atlas across the hostile expanses of interstellar space, then the emergence of life might be a natural consequence of galactic chemistry rather than a rare accident. Life could be as intrinsic to the Milky Way as the formation of stars themselves, a recurring product of the galaxy's processes. Some researchers suggested that the presence of life on 3i Atlas might represent only a tiny fraction of the biological presence drifting unseen through the galaxy. Yet in the midst of these profound revelations, scientists remained grounded in the direct evidence. They focused on the spectral data, the repeating molecular signatures, the rhythmic shifts in concentration. They mapped the regions where biological markers peaked, tracing them across the object's surface and interior. Every dataset returned by Webb heightened the excitement without drifting into speculation about what might follow. The emphasis stayed on documenting the unprecedented event, the discovery that this interstellar body was not a lifeless wanderer, but a vessel carrying microorganisms across stellar boundaries. The approach of 3i Atlas created not urgency, but a sense of anticipation, not about future actions or how humanity might engage with it, those topics remained unspoken, but about the increasing clarity with which Webb would be able to observe its biological signatures. As sunlight intensified, organic compounds responded, shifting in ways that made them even more detectable. A faint haze began to surround portions of the object, interpreted as sublimating volatiles carrying organic material. This haze allowed Webb to capture even more detailed spectral information, revealing compounds that were difficult to detect when locked within the ice. The glow that first drew attention now spread into a complex halo of activity, a cloud rich with information about the processes occurring within. As this haze thickened, researchers noted that the pattern of molecules suggested organized clustering. Some compounds seemed to aggregate as though forming protective structures around biological cores. Others extended outward, perhaps functioning as organic scaffolding. The complexity hinted at cooperative systems within the organisms, levels of organization that paralleled early multicellular behavior without fully crossing into true multicellularity. The presence of such systems, if confirmed, suggested evolutionary pressures toward cooperation. In an environment as unforgiving as interstellar space, organisms might survive only through collective strategies, sharing protective mechanisms and distributing energy. Every new discovery reinforced the sense of wonder. The realization that life existed outside the solar system was monumental, that it came into view not on a distant exoplanet, but carried on a small, wandering object, made the universe feel both smaller and far more intricate. Life was no longer a phenomenon tied to planets. It was a cosmic traveler, capable of emerging in one star system and journeying into another, linking them through shared biology. The Webb telescope, designed to probe the earliest galaxies and the faintest infrared emissions, had unexpectedly become a biological observatory. Its instruments, sensitive enough to detect the faint warmth of planets orbiting distant stars, now revealed the delicate spectral whispers of living chemistry moving through the solar system. The telescope's unprecedented resolution allowed scientists to discern subtle variations in complex carbon compounds, mapping relationships among molecules that had survived unimaginable distances and conditions. It transformed the study of life from
Hey, Shawnee,
planetary
good to see
science
ya.
into a galactic science. As observations continued, the global scientific community found common ground in the realization that biology did not begin and end on Earth. The implications reached into every field that studied life energy, evolution, and cosmic processes. While researchers carefully avoided discussing any consequences or aftermath, it was clear that the detection of life on 3I Atlas marked one of the most significant moments in scientific history. Webb had shown that the universe was not silent. It harbored life not as a distant possibility, but as an active presence, drifting between stars. The event belonged not to the speculative realm of the future, but to the present moment, an unfolding revelation carried on a fragment of a distant world moving steadily closer, illuminated by the gaze of a telescope built to unveil the universe's deepest secrets. The increasing brightness around 3I Atlas became a living document of change, a canvas on which invisible processes wrote themselves in fluctuating spectra and shifting chemical signatures. Every new Webb observation unveiled another layer that had been hidden in the deeper cold of interstellar night. Now, as the object moved into a slightly warmer regime of the solar system, the embedded organisms, if they could be called that without overstating the evidence, began to exhibit patterns even more intricate than the ones first detected. What had initially appeared as subtle variations in organic compounds evolved into cascading sequences of molecular transformations, like biochemical ripples responding to a new and stimulating environment. The transformation was quiet, distant, and invisible to human senses, yet immense in its scientific significance. To understand these intricacies, researchers broadened their analysis to include the minor compounds that had gone unnoticed in early observations. Some of these molecules were intermediares, chemical substances typically used in metabolic pathways to transfer energy or build complex structures. Their presence hinted at cycles with beginnings and ends, inputs and outputs, regulation and adaptation. These compounds rose and fell in concentration over hours and days, forming curving lines of activity reminiscent of metabolic rhythms on Earth. But the pathways didn't match terrestrial biochemistry. They resembled a branching network of reactions, each node representing a distinct functional group the organisms deployed depending on environmental conditions. Instead of relying on water as a universal solvent, some reactions seemed supported by
Hi Dave, good to see you, mate.
which provided a stable medium in the frigid interior of 3I Atlas. Another element catching researchers' attention was the presence of small crystalline structures embedded within the organic pockets.
You do pepper. We do the worm. Worms don't just affect dogs, they can spread to people too. Keep your family
Dave, I don't know if it's bullshit. I'm starting to believe it might be real.
protected. For whatever pet life throws at you, Drontal, Australia's #1 intestinal wormer for dogs.
This is more. It's having the time of your life with the love of your life. Feel free to experience more with Norwegian Cruise Line.
So I'm Will. I am the head of colouring in at Honey Six. Oh, my actual role. Your real role. I don't actually know. What's my real role, though?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Please make sure your seatbelts and tray table are in their full upright position. Seatbelts.
Webb's
I'm just trying to line something up, guys. That's why I'm not paying attention to the telly. Where'd it go?
crystals were not part of the original rocky matrix,
Oh, there it is.
but formed through repeated cycles of deposition and dissolution. They carried thin films of organic compounds arranged in layered sequences. Some layers suggested gradual accretion, while others indicated more rapid formation triggered by shifts in temperature or radiation. The crystals might serve as anchoring points for microbial colonies, offering surfaces on which biological materials arrange themselves into microstructures. These formations were not random. They aligned along axes, matching the thermal gradients within the object. In the absence of direct samples, interpretation relied heavily on indirect clues, but the evidence steadily shaped a portrait of surprising intricacy. The layered structures resembled primitive scaffold.
Okay, let's get too detailed, guys. We don't know if they're telling the truth or not. Well, I don't anyway. Hang on, didn't load. No, I did.
A brand new laser system is now firing into the upper atmosphere.
I'll come back to that.
And they want judges to decide the fate of the people alone. Europe, you think you're being inclusive? You are being conquered.
I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm going to tell you that this is possibly the worst experience I have ever had.
Oh, what does he mean by because we let them? Is he calling for violence? Protect the people.
Throw a cake of soap in the middle of them, watch them run. Come on, Moo, stop. Come on. Shh.
From dictators, from tyrants.
It's an attack upon our constitution that anybody's done in hundreds of years.
Keir Starmer, Shabana Mahmood, and all of these insane leftists. It's unreal.
I actually don't mind, but it's when Molly gets touched, people are grabbing. It's harassing, you know, you've got 50 men following a woman.
Together with the right to vote, it's the most important right we have.
This may genuinely be the most important video I have ever made, and I don't say that lightly. I know I've made a lot of videos on very important topics, shown you information that the mainstream media would never show you, that the BBC have literally covered up. But this right now is the United Kingdom becoming a dictatorship. And I don't say that lightly. They are literally on their way to becoming a dictatorship. What you see right behind me is the Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta was made in 1215, and it's not...
I think the UK will be the first big nation of the West to collapse under the Muslim onslaught. Buddy, come on, Moo, stop. Shh. Good girl.
Just some medieval document, okay? For those of you who don't know what's going on right now, this absolute lunatic and the left-wing Labour Party are trying to remove trial by jury. In other words, they want to take the entire country's power for prosecution into their own hands and remove the involvement of the citizens completely. Rupert Lowe says we must defend the jury trial. This is absolutely vital. And I agree with that 100%, and I'll show you why. But first of all, for those of you who don't know the seriousness of this situation, you know this man right here? He removed trial by jury when he did the atrocities that he did in the past. And what a surprise, Stalin's USSR did the same thing. Mao Zedong, the Chinese dictator, did the same thing. North Korea, literally one of the most insane countries in the entire world, did the same thing. I think you get the point, right? There is a pattern here. Dictators remove trial by jury because they take the power from the people. The government are supposed to serve the people, and they want to take that power and place it into their own hands and rule over the people. Now, Calvin Robinson shared a very important quote from the Magna Carta, which the Labour Party right now are trying to overrule, which, by the way, the Magna Carta was created by people who believe in God, which had a foundation for truth. Now, take a look at this. Whether you believe in God or not, you'll see that this is very important. No free man shall be seized or imprisoned, or stripped of his rights or possessions, or outlawed, or exiled, or deprived of his standing in any way, nor will we proceed with force against him, or send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his peers, or by the law of the land. Magna Carta. So right here we see in the Magna Carta that fellow citizens are supposed to be given the right to judge. This prevents tyranny. But no, the lunatic left literally want to remove that and give the power completely to the state. This is crazy. Wall Street Map says, Europe, you think you're being inclusive? You are being conquered. Take a look at this clip and then we'll get into even more in-depth important information.
Yay, good on you, mate.
So why is this important? I'll tell you why. Because what you just witnessed was a man dressed up in a full Islamic burqa, covered head to toe. No way you can tell who is under there. He walked in, past the police security, and pulled down a Palestine flag. Now, no matter what you think about his behavior, think about this. Without a trial by jury, the state could say, oh, that's a hate crime. That is hateful behavior. The police could literally arrest him. They could try him without a jury, prosecute him, sentence him without a jury. And what would he ever be able to do about it? Taking away a trial by jury literally gives the state so much power, which is why the Magna Carta was created in the first place. This document that you see right here was to take the power out of the king's hand because he had way too much power and he was just prosecuting and persecuting whoever he wanted, whoever disagreed with him. This document was created and now they want to get rid of it. Think about it. They would be able to punish political enemies without any trial by jury. They would technically be able to silence their critics and make up crimes that they were apparently breaking without even a trial by jury. Ultimately, we've seen them try to do this in the past, right? They try to say that's a crime based on their opinion, based on their subjective view and not evidence, just because they're too weak emotionally to face facts that something is actually evil and it's being called out. Tommy Robinson says, juries are to be scrapped in all cases except murder, this, and manslaughter. David Lammy is to announce. England has had juries dating back 1,200 years. These clowns are let into our institutes in a time of activist judges, and they want judges to decide the fate of the people alone. It's a brilliant point, right? Most people lean one way or the other when it comes to politics, including judges. So what is to stop a judge from basing his judgment on his political emotional state, on what he wants to happen, on what he would like to happen, rather than actually the law, right? What's to stop them if the state is in control? What would be to stop them from actually just putting Tommy Robinson in jail and saying, you know, he's a dangerous person or something, and no trial by jury?
They do that already to Tommy Robinson.
Off to jail. What's to stop them from doing that? He's already gone to jail so many times. Let me show you another perspective, okay?
G'day, Bas. Good to see you, mate.
On the left, from Britain, who went to Pakistan, an Islamic country, and look at what she experienced. And I'll show you why that's relevant in a moment.
I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm going to tell you that this is possibly the worst experience I have ever had visiting a tourist site. I want to just show you the amount of people that have been following me around the mosque. We're in Badshahi Mosque. We've come at sunset, and it is quite intense. They do not leave you alone. We have been grabbed. People are taking photos without asking. And to be honest, it's just quite frustrating because this is so beautiful and we've only had a positive experience so far. So to come to a tourist site where we were expecting, you know, just to have a beautiful sunset here and enjoy it, it's just kind of ruined the experience for me. Look.
The whole time. I actually don't mind, but it's when Molly gets touched, people are grabbing. It's harassing, you know, you've got 50 men following a woman. Relax, calm down, I'll give you a photo, but then leave me alone.
It's very relentless as well. I just get surrounded.
So why that's relevant to the topic of this video is where else do we see that kind of behavior happening continually? Where else have we witnessed Islamists following women around? Oh, yeah, that's right. Europe. Oh, yeah, that's right. America. So my point is, imagine if somebody was to say, this person is following them, and then they give a description of that person, etc., etc. We know that the left is insane, and much of the time they don't base their actions and perspectives on objective facts. They base them on emotions. They base them on politics. For example, somebody identifying as a cat.
Some decisions just work out perfectly, like your new Daikin AC, convenient controls and quiet. Unlike the decision to let the kids play inside. Make a smart choice with Daikin.
What's knocked you off your axis?
Mine sure is preferred Cairo. We're not exactly aligned.
Switch to AHM. They don't really do preferred providers, so you can claim the same back at any Cairo.
Nice. With AHM, you're good.
John, come on.
At Home Care, we've been caring for people for more than 90 years. So if you need home care, dementia care.
This robotic puppy looks so real, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian. I've been a grandmother for 15 years, and this is the smartest purchase I've ever made. Last month, I got...
So you do currently have a California driver's license, you just don't have a physical copy on you at the moment.
That's my preferred method of identification.
And this is...
It's a cat collar. I'm currently identifying as a cat.
Fair enough. The information on the tag, I'm assuming belongs to you, the boyfriend. It wasn't my intention.
I identify as a cat. More like a whale.
To offend you, but he just identified as a cat, and you're wearing a Harris Waltz t-shirt, so...
I'm not his boyfriend, I'm his owner.
Okay. Well, look, we can do this the hard way if you like. I can have this car towed because last I checked, a cat is not licensed to operate a motor vehicle. We can have animal control and get you taken to a shelter where your owner can retrieve you for a fee of $70 after you're given necessary immunizations, which do include a rabies shot, possibly even spayed or neutered.
Good move, Cobber.
Whichever you prefer or identify with. Is that what you guys want to do here?
And then trying to get other people to affirm that they are in fact a cat when they're not a cat.
Sir, I can also request that a mental health care professional come down here on scene and do.
Phil, I forgot it's your Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good day or night, guys.
An evaluation of you because you're considering letting him take a rabies shot rather than just give me an ID, use some manners so I can give you your ticket and move on.
Right, you get my point. And they are continually cowering and bowing to, well, whoever's putting money in their pockets, in my opinion. But ideologies that are very wicked, very confusing, very objectively untrue. Now, if somebody was to explain, oh, this person over here is following me down the street and they look like this, what is honestly stopping the state from saying that this person is being racist? Or this person is targeting people and saying that, oh, it's only a specific people who are following them. You know, we've witnessed this multiple times where an objective fact has happened. A real situation has unfolded and the victim has been treated as the criminal. How far is this going to go? It's mental. Look, this is Milan, Italy. Now, for context, this person...
I tell you guys, we don't have the Muslims to fill out that street corner, whatever it's called, the street, the square that the town meets in. We wouldn't have enough Muslims to fill that.
Posts in Milanistan, they simply have to play their loud Arab music in front of the Christmas tree. Why? Because we let them. Now, why am I showing you this? Because imagine...
I meant the town square, guys.
If the government read this and said, oh, what does he mean by because we let them? Is he calling for violence? Is this person actually a threat to society? Is this person calling for criminal activity? You see how far it could go if they remove trial by jury? Because you can twist anything that anybody says.
Yeah.
And if you want to arrest someone based on your political goals and motives, which we have literally seen dictators do throughout history, I showed you them earlier, what's stopping them from doing the same thing? Remember, the Magna Carta was literally created to protect the civilization, protect the people from dictators, from tyrants. It's literally the foundation for English constitutional liberty, protecting us, the people. What's going on here? Like, this document is literally the foundation for UK common law. It's the foundation for the US Constitution. The United States still have trial by jury. And to be honest, pretty much every Western legal system was built upon this document right here, the Magna Carta, which came from people who believed in God, right? Righteousness, justice, objective truth, which, by the way, if you don't believe in God, you don't actually have any grounds for objective morality. And when you open up the floodgates for these insane leftists who are actually making way for these types of people, Islamists, to come into the West and destroy our very way of life, what is honestly stopping them from calling you a Christian?
And if the Muslims get in power in any Western nation, watch them go after the Christians.
Criminal for voicing your opinion, your freedom of speech, and saying, oh no, you're actually hateful, you're actually calling for violence, when you're not doing that at all. You're just saying something that could easily be twisted. A lot of people don't know how to actually speak perfectly all the time because they're not politicians. They're not people who are continually in the public eye and have to be careful with how they word things. They're used to just hanging out with their family and saying things that could probably be twisted in some very insane ways. You've had family members where if you really wanted to, you could probably make them come across as like an extremely racist person. But really, they're just joking around or they're just saying stupid stuff, right? So what is going on? This is a mental world. Take a look at this clip. It's actually quite insightful.
Good morning.
Stephen, what are the implications of most trials being processed without a jury?
It's the most egregious attack upon our constitution that anybody's done in hundreds of years. The right to trial by jury is 810 years old. It's so well established. It's often considered the foundation of our democratic freedom. Together with the right to vote, it's the most important right we have. And this government is apparently just going to brazenly destroy it, despite never putting that in its manifesto, and in fact lying to us and telling us that it really values trial by jury, which is probably the worst part of this. The salt on the wound is the fact that David Lammy publicly declared how much and how important third trial by jury is. It is incredibly important, and yet they are apparently going to throw it.
Bloody dog stood on it again. Dog stood on the remote, guys.
It's shocking how much of the equipment we've used for decades contains forever chemicals. I mean, this is the first innovation.
Going to throw it away. This is the step towards dictatorship.
Right, it is literally the step towards dictatorship. This is the perfect thing that you would do if you wanted to become a dictator. You would slowly remove all of the power from the people, and one of the biggest leaps you could do is taking away trial by jury, taking all judgment out of the people's hands and putting it in your own hands. It's mental. And do you know what's actually really insane is these people are so serpent-tongued, the left, the Labour Party, the Islamists, that they literally will tell you that, oh, trial by jury is important before they're in power. And the moment they...
The newsreader on the top on the left, I subscribed to him. I can't remember his name, but I subscribed to him. He's really good. He's really good on the UK and all that. He's like Piers Morgan with a bit more edginess.
Get into power, which we see right now, they do the complete opposite, or they attempt to do the complete opposite. And they check how far they can push. How far will the people resist? What will the people do to resist? You know, and yeah, we're living in just a very sick world right now with a lot of people who are not sick, such as myself, such as most of you watching this video, right? You believe in the truth. You want people to be safe, protected, have peace, have a fair trial, not live under a dictatorship. And that's why it's so important to share these videos with your friends and families. Share this information with your friends and families. Make sure that the world is awake. Because not many people take the time to look into politics because it's boring a lot of the time, right? But there are sometimes things that just leap off the page and people do need to be aware of, even if they don't.
It's not boring to us. We follow politics closely.
Don't care about politics because, well, it prevents dictators from jumping into positions of power and controlling future generations. And in the past, that has literally led to wars having to be fought to remove dictators. And I don't want it to get to that point. I want people to actually have a peaceful, happy life and for everything to be fair. But for some reason, it seems like there's someone behind the scenes pulling some strings, funneling some money, and continually disrupting just a peaceful way of life. And their pattern is very repetitive. It's very obvious. They create chaos and then try to bring quote unquote order out of it, but it's just another deception. And then they do the same thing. So at the root of the issue are these very satanic, wicked people who just want to destroy your very way of life. And they use children of the devil on every front to try to implement that. People who are in ignorance and ignorantly serving evil, and people who are willfully serving evil. It doesn't matter to them as long as they are an idiot and a useful tool. And we see those people continually put in positions of power. Keir Starmer, Shabana Mahmood, and all of these insane leftists. It's unreal. It's unreal. You know, these are the times that we're actually living in right now. Proverbs 29:2 from the King James. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And yeah, right now, I would say that the United Kingdom government is one of the most wicked governments in the world for facilitating evil and, well, going against good, continually persecuting Christian preachers on the street. People who are flying Christian flags, the St. George's flags, are being called racist, bigots, you know, Islamophobes. For what? Whilst on the other side, the Islamists, as I showed you yesterday in that video, are literally saying that Christians shouldn't have the right to even fly the St. George's cross, that it should be removed, and apparently just the word England should be written on a white flag. In England, they're telling you what your flag should be. But no, that person's apparently not hateful or a bigot, apparently. But the people who live in England, who are English, who fly an English flag, who are Christians, who love people, who want a peaceful society, they're apparently racist. They're apparently bigots. And the people in government want to remove trial by jury. Oh, I wonder what their motives are. Not really, but you know what I mean. Anyway, one more thing that I want to show you. The God thinks about these wicked people. What Yah, the true God of the Bible, thinks of these wicked people. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievous which they have prescribed. Seems like this is a pretty unrighteous decree to remove the power from the people and place it in some dictatorship's hands, to turn aside the needy from judgment. Oh, who does that sound like? And to take away the right from the poor of my people. Who does that sound like? That widows may be their prey. Oh, didn't we watch a video yesterday of an old woman being dragged along by the police because they
Yeah, I
didn't like
remember
what she
that.
had to say? She sounds a bit like prey. And that they may rob the fatherless. We're living in some dark days, but I want to tell you something. There is hope. We are on the side of truth. We already have the victory in the Lord Jesus Christ. We know what objective truth is. We know that there is such thing as righteousness, that there is such thing as peace. We know that people deserve fair trials, fair judgments, and clearly very wicked, evil people are trying to change that. They're trying to pervert the course of justice and take the power out of the hands of the people. And it's not going to happen. But the fact that they're even trying to do it, it shows the intentions of their heart. It shows how deceptive and how insane they actually are, and how much they actually want to rule over you, the people. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of the people who actually can perceive reality for what it is, critically think, and then repeat that information in an objective way that is understandable for other people. What it probably looks like to them is they're sitting in darkness and they see this light on a hill, and then they're like, wait, why is there another light? And all of a sudden the whole hill starts lighting up. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid because they see the light spreading and they don't comprehend what is going on. Don't allow them to get away with this. Continually share the truth, continually preach the truth, continually go against evil legally, and make sure that you are educated, because these people really do want to control the flow of knowledge, control the flow of information, because they know that there's a lot of power in knowing the truth. So they want to mask the truth. They want to confuse people. Don't let it take place. Keep speaking the truth. Keep lifting up your voice like a trumpet and exposing these wicked, evil, insane people, because that is really what they are. It's like, when I think about it, as a child, did I really think I would grow up in a world where I would have to voice my opinion so loud in the truth just so that other people perceive that they're literally walking in darkness? I didn't think that. I thought the world was normal. That's what I thought as a child. But as I grew up, I realized this world is mental. It's insane. We should not even have to worry about these insane ideologies that are entering into the West and trying to change our way of life. And then not only that, then have to actually think about how you articulate exposing that so that you don't get arrested for hate speech and put on trial without a jury. Like, what? This world's mental. But
Good point.
anyways, we have the victory already. Just keep sharing the truth. Make sure all your friends and family know about what is going on. And yeah, we already won. If you haven't already hit that thumbs up button, definitely.
Oh, it didn't load. Wow, hang on. Hang on, guys.
A brand new laser system is now firing into the upper atmosphere, interacting with oxygen and nitrogen molecules, and people across the country are feeling something. At the same time, auroras are showing up. People are capturing strange lights on camera. The University of Alaska just revealed this new Rayleigh LiDAR. It studies the ionosphere's D region, the same region that affects radio waves, auroras, and electromagnetic activity.
And I have a joint appointment in the Geophysical Institute. A next generation ionospheric radar. Each observatory has a set of 5 instruments in it that are mainly focused on looking at the background atmosphere. The ionosphere that the radar is studying is embedded in. Both the Europeans and the American side of this project are interested in studying the upper atmosphere at altitudes above 100 kilometers, up to several hundred kilometers. And those are altitudes where spacecraft operate. Those are altitudes radio communication.
Anytime energy enters the atmosphere, whether solar storms, auroras, or research beams, people report heightened sensitivity. It could be EMF fluctuations, pressure changes, or just the atmosphere shifting. This beam at University of Alaska Fairbanks reaches the D region, the lowest layer of the ionosphere, where radio waves bend, weaken, or get absorbed. That's the layer that changes the most during auroras, solar storms, and large atmospheric disturbances. According to the official release, this new LiDAR will help interpret data from HAARP's measurements of the D region, not replace it, complement it. Meaning, two advanced systems will be studying very soon the same atmospheric layer using systems at the same exact time. In Alaska Fairbanks' official statement, they say this: having two LiDAR separated by a great distance can allow scientists to study weather and climate of the upper atmosphere and its variation over regions, said Assistant Professor Michael Rodewig at the LiDAR Research Laboratory. When this layer changes, you'll see the sky changes, aurora spread, radio signals behave differently. The atmosphere feels more energized, and thousands of people report sensitivity due to ionospheric disturbances. So here's what we really need to understand. This new LiDAR system works by firing light upward and watching how oxygen and nitrogen molecules scatter that light. This is called Rayleigh scattering. The same thing that makes skies blue and sunsets red becomes a way to measure energy, temperature, and motion in the atmosphere. When multiple systems measure the same region, here's what can happen. The atmosphere can shift quickly. And the question is here, have you been noticing shifts very quickly in the atmosphere around you? Tell us all something we haven't heard in the comment section. And leave your location because I'm very interested to know. The addition of this LiDAR will greatly advance the ability of the Subaurora Geophysical Observatory to contribute to our understanding of the upper atmosphere, said Jessica Matthews, Director of HAARP in the University of Poker Flat Research Grant. So what else is happening that you really need to know? Rayleigh LiDAR uses electromagnetic radiation, basically a laser to measure how the upper atmosphere is behaving. And they say EMF in this context doesn't necessarily mean danger. It just means electromagnetic interference, like what affects radio waves, GPS, and communication signals, and it can cause static in radios, and it can change how signals travel through the air. And that's what scientists are studying about this. But what if there's more being studied? I know some of you feel there's more going on than just radio waves, atmosphere, and I hear you. I'm not saying that this technology is physically harming people. What I'm simply saying is that humans are very in tune to their environment. When the atmosphere shifts, people notice it. Some feel pressure, some feel energy shifts, and some just feel aware that something's happening. And what concerned people that all this was going on in the atmosphere, we were wondering, was this disturbing any volcanoes or causing seismic activity? There's no evidence right now that that's the case, but we have the University of Alaska Fairbanks actually moving in to look at the volcano in Alaska right now.
Mount Edgecombe Volcanic Field, which includes Mount Edgecombe, sits just outside Sitka, Alaska. And it was previously considered dormant, hadn't really been doing anything. And then a few years ago, it started inflating, and we started to see a lot of seismic activity. My name is Claire Julio. I'm a PhD student here at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Geophysical Institute, and in the Geosciences.
From what they said about this volcano, it seems like it's slowly awakening. But if nothing strange is going on there, then there shouldn't be anything to worry about, right?
Multi your way with LiDARs. Can't be a good thing. Imagine what you could be buying instead.
Kirin Hiketsu, vodka, soda, and natural lemon juice. Born in Japan, now here in a can. Kirin Hiketsu. Hello, yes.
Should these glasses be illegal in the US? Nobody believed me at first, but now everybody wants a pair. My friends roasted me.
That aurora in Alaska is definitely dancing through the sky. But a local resident heard something that was pretty weird around this time.
That's so fucking creepy.
I can't figure out what it is right now. Let me know what you think, but that's why you need to just stop and subscribe right now, because we're going to investigate further into this and get details from people in that area and people all across the world. But let's move into the next steps of what people want to know due to what was felt all around us. Now, a lot of you have asked, what can you do at home when the environment feels active or when your senses feel more alert? Not because of this research, but just in everyday life, electronic devices or environmental noise. So I reached out to a Navy engineer who specialized in electrical systems that I've been on for 3 years, not to talk about LiDAR or any research, but about everyday EMF from phones, routers, Wi-Fi, TVs, static electricity that's moving through your house. Listen to this.
Scientists are drawing a correlation between these times of exposure and just how, as a human species, we're having to adapt. Now we're being exposed to just almost seemingly unlimited band of frequencies.
Now that they're talking about to break down the even further aspect of what we're dealing with.
So what we've done is, instead of a box, you can make composites, or small items made from the blend of iron oxide, steel, brass, shungite, and crystal powders that are all encased in an epoxy resin, and they produce the same effects and are able to transform the harmful wireless fields from cell towers, smart meters, smartphones, internet routers, and your television into more beneficial energy for you and your plants and pets. So one of the ingredients that we use in there is shungite. Shungite is a rare mineral. It's believed to come from an asteroid that can only be found in one place in the world, and that's Karelia, Russia. It's the only mineral of its kind that contains fullerenes, which have been proven maps and also used for cleaning.
Yeah, I remember I did the studies on that, and I was like, it said America has some low quality shungite, and Russia has some of the real shungite.
Leaked shungite.
Yes,
Siobhan, can you explain what makes it different from the regular shungite?
The lead shungite has a higher content of the shungite carbon within the sample.
Still looking at photos that I took of Tavan as he was creating it. So we take the different powders, iron oxide, brass, shungite, steel powders. The reason why they're in powder form is because that makes it more powerful, because the powder has more surface area than if we were to use big chunks of those metals. There's a moment when it's curing where it might let off a little bit of vapor, but we open the windows and everything. So
Harmonizing products and what goes into it. There's a specific reason why we use these minerals. And also when these minerals are immersed in that 5G field where you're living at, it's taking that field and it's transforming it in the local area to something that's more harmonizing.
And that's exactly what we say. It transforms the field, and you can place it all around yourself and your environment for the best effect.
But then we have on the upper right, that was the University of Pennsylvania test. We typed in, I think, orgone accumulator. It wasn't, in the study, this is the University of Pennsylvania. Cosmic energy is being accumulated. That's what they said in the study. But basically, water that's inside, the box with the plant with the little seeds, is absorbing this energy.
The pyramid study.
Yeah.
So this is why we make pyramid shapes.
Yeah, so this was what I was talking about earlier. The Russian scientist Professor Alexander Golod in the late 90s, early 2000s, he was a Ukrainian former defense contractor, scientist, performed pyramid research on experiments that use expensive military helicopters and equipment. And then what he found, he's being funded by the University of Moscow, by the way. They created this multi-story pyramids, several of them, on the outskirts of Moscow. In fact, if you type in Golod pyramids, you get all kinds of photos of these pyramids. They stand to this day. Now, what they found is a couple of interesting effects by having this non-conductive plastic pyramid built. They took helicopters, they flew around it, and they found that there's a measurable ion column coming from the top of the pyramid all the way up into the ionosphere. The shape of the pyramid had a
The Bosnian pyramid has the same thing. I knew about this, guys.
function. It interacts with the energy of the Earth, directs energy out through the tip of the to affect the environment around it.
A lot of you have been feeling how everything has been going in the world, and you've asked me, what do I personally use when the environment feels more active? And I put all that in the top of the comment section. You can go there and find everything that you've been asking for. And that right there has kept me feeling calm, feeling more relaxed. And I just hope to spread that energy with you and that things go well for you and your family, your animals, your pets. But if you got this far, I'm not even begging you. I'm just saying your survivability, definitely. I put it here and it relies on that, not even showing you. Go watch it right now.
This robotic puppy looks so real, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian. I've been a grandmother for 15 years, and this is the smart...
Hang on. Hang on, guys. Hang on, guys. Got it.
Place. With a 6.0 earthquake in Alaska, but it didn't just stop there. Multiple other events started to take place. Keeps getting earthquake.
Having an earthquake right now.
Right after that, earthquake swarm hit California right away, same day. And then there was some we're going to get back to that strange thing that we saw in the atmosphere at the same time an energy spike started to happen. And there's other things, Yellowstone happening as well. So what is really going on right now? Just as all this happens today, seismic activity shakes up microbes deep under Yellowstone Lake. This has been reported by Discover Magazine just today. And they're saying that these tiny quakes cause a burst of life deep below the surface. So beneath Yellowstone as well, there's activity starting to happen as we see everything else build up. And when we go a little bit deeper into the Yellowstone situation, we'll tell you what happens here. So yeah, a lot of people are saying that they're seeing things that's happening beneath them and above them in our atmosphere that is just not usual for them to see. But notice how just this month alone, just today, just this week, we've had multiple dormant volcanoes wake up and life forms as well, coming like out of blue volcanic dew from the bottom of the ocean where they're saying is primordial life. So now today at Yellowstone, tiny quakes cause a burst of light deep below the surface. I think a lot of things are starting to rise up again. Findings appear in a new study published in the journal PNAS Nexus Microbes and study live far below the surface where sunlight does not reach. So they survive through
Thank you, Phil. We love you too, mate.
chemical reactions. So whenever you get some chemical reactions on the Yellowstone, then those things start to pop up again. So here we are right now in a situation where I see some energy spikes that just was not really that normal. But before that, I show you that there's this strange clip of the sky, which you in the chat, y'all been saying you're seeing the sun not showing up and a lot of different strange things in your locations, but this right here is far beyond what I'm used to seeing.
No way.
What the heck was this? At first, when I looked at it, because a lot of people were thinking like, oh, that's just a spider web. But when I look at this closely, at first it looked like that, but then I see these objects that was moving off in the background that we just looked at. And around this same time period, I want to read somebody's comment here. They say, everyone, those are not polymer threads and those are not spider webs. They're claiming this. Those are some type of entity they claim. And they are everywhere. They just don't look wispy like that all the time. There's part of this hiding from our view, and that's the blurred area. So this was reported on the 23rd. But I found something else that kind of ties into this situation. So on the 24th, a strange energy signature popped up on the energy reading. Check it out. Here it is right here. These red blotches was on there, and they were actually, this was not normal for these red blotches to be showing up on these meters. So I looked into this, and either it's a Navy communication transmitter, a lightning sphere, lightning spherics, or ionosphere disturbances from human interference. So let's look a little bit deeper into this. So if that was an entity, I'm not saying that it is, but in case this was, we gotta look into something really quick. Where do they show up at? Okay, infrasound below 20 Hz frequencies below the range of human hearing, such as 19 Hz, can cause physical sensations like anxiety or even ghostly perception in the peripheral of vision due to resonance with the eyeball. So we had that strange frequency show up just a few days ago. I just showed you actually was on the 24th. This happened a day after that. But who actually was shooting frequencies that I can pull up here in just a second? We're gonna find that out here in just a second. So if all this energy spike is happening and the volcanoes are starting to wake up and all this activity is starting to peak, don't you think that this has a lot to do with it? Or you think that this is just a situation where we're in the times where things change? So, okay, I remember, and I'm not claiming that they're doing this, but since 20 Hz is the frequency, UAF between the 17th and 22nd, they put out this frequency they were using, extremely low. Okay, they were using from 3 to 30 Hz. Well, that falls just about in the range we just mentioned here, and you can see ghostly things in your perception. Do you think they play a role in this situation right now? Just the other day, I talked about something new is lighting up the sky. I just put that out a few hours ago. Something new is lighting up the sky in Alaska, and it's a new LiDAR system that does some scattering stuff to the atmosphere. And the fact that this shows up around the same week is very interesting timing. And just to give you the notice, Next week, we're set for some really strong activity due to this solar situation. So there's going to be more of this energy coming into the world as we're already seeing these things start to commence right now. And if this is the case, then a lot of these areas where we're seeing the volcanoes, we're seeing earthquakes, we're seeing all this activity start to build up, we can expect to see some more activity potentially start to peak there. But this isn't just coincidence that ancient life forms are starting to come back or starting to show up because underground activity is starting to heat up even more and chemical reactions are happening. We're talking things from thousands of years ago that we're not seeing awaken. And at UAF, they're looking at a Mount Edgecombe also in Alaska, because that's another situation they're worried about. This is all becoming a real situation where people here, even in the chat, are believing that other things are being used in our atmosphere as this potentially starts to happen. So while this is happening and all these different things, at the same week, we had 30 members of the Missouri Wing participate in tabletop exercise training this morning, discussing responses to a simulated 7.5 magnitude in the Madrid seismic zone, which we did a video on that as well, November 22nd, 2025. Just remember, all is spanned within a week. From today to this entire week, we've been seeing this and watching this and listening to people in the chat. The new people tuning in have been giving us a lot of information. You have a voice here. Subscribe, stay tuned, because we have a lot more coming. And people that's been here forever are giving us the deep dives that we need, this footage, this stuff that we're seeing through these events. It's becoming more interesting to be a connected community. As Thanksgiving, we see shaking happening and stuff like that, and more events are set to follow. So if you think this is the end, you just set foot in the beginning.
Okay, guys, I'm out. God bless. Happy Thanksgiving.
If you think the energy you felt the last few days or something, you're about to see even more. You think that these things in the atmosphere that we're seeing has stopped. It's all becoming more apparent that we're in a different time, that we're going to see things, and that you need to be ready mentally. You need to be ready inside of yourself for what you're going to see. So you're going to feel more coming in this week too as well. These things may show up. Are we saying they're entities? No, I'm not claiming it. I'm claiming that they have frequencies that they can show up at, and that we need to keep investigating this and look more into it. And if you have more clips, this is going to become much deeper than just activity below us. So again, these are the times that people today, yes, it's the 6th, people says harvesting ions. Look what happens to